Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are very, very welcome, as you always are on my channel, but especially a very warm welcome on a Sunday night, where usually it's usually a form of therapy these days. Unfortunately, for Liverpool fans up and down the country and all around the world, people, thank you very much for tuning in to your RedFellas, the RedFellas on a Sunday night, who are now. I'm absolutely, what's the word? Over the moon, overjoyed,
Ecstatic.
ecstatic to be sponsored with our partners, futcard.com. As you guys can see across the bottom, that banner has been created for a reason. And that reason is these guys, I'm not even joking, these guys are a fantastic website for all your FUT cards. I'm going to share my screen and show you what the kind of services they provide. These guys are the ones, people. I'm going to go, this basically what they are is an FUT card website, and you can have any card you want printed, made, size-wise. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant stuff to give to children, friends, family, and you can even make yourself your own ones. We were actually contemplating just off air, like what would we have made, like what is our strengths and weaknesses. So me and Conroy were suggesting Keith will have sort of 99 physical attributes, right? We're not sure about his pace, but you know, he can have a think about that offline.
You would be surprised. You would be surprised. I moved
okay. Well, you know, we'll be surprised. Basically, you can get absolutely all these kinds of amazing designs. Not only do they do FUT cards, people, they actually do custom flags, amazing custom flags. As you can see, you can have, obviously, doesn't have to be Liverpool orientated. There's other clubs as well. Some of the testimonies are amazing. These are just some of the examples of the card sizes, and the quality is stunning. Brilliant website. Go check them out. If there's any problems or issues, when Grizz tells you that it's the most easy to use website, trust me, because you guys know how I struggle. All you got to do is press this icon and it says chat with us. Hello, please message us if you have any questions. You can track your order, preview your design, how long does it take to ship out. If you can't find the product, there's someone always there to help you. So easy, so useful, and you know what? We're so happy to have them on board. And on top of all this, if you type in the code RedFellas, you get 15% discount. I mean, I don't know what more do you want, guys. We will, as the season go, get some made for ourselves as well. We will show you what our skills and attributes are, well, what we think anyway. You know, we may have, you guys may have other ideas, but people, Liverpool went to Goodison Park and drew again. So after these kind of games and after the kind of season we're having so far, it's all about speaking to your friends. And I've got some of my friends with me right now. We usually make each other feel better or sometimes worse. I have no idea how we're going to make each other feel tonight. Conroy, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, all right, Grizz. You know, it's I keep saying this every week. It's a good weekend apart from the Liverpool result because, as I say, you need to separate it. But yeah, I'm doing okay. Everything's well. And the other side of things, apart from the result yesterday and the 12:30 kickoff, as we all know, can sometimes ruin your weekend. So I did kind of feel like that yesterday morning. But you know, since then, I feel a bit better. But on the football, I'm looking forward to discussing it with the guys. I've actually listened to quite a few different other channels speak about yesterday, and I think there's a few questions on a few things. So it'll be interesting to see Grizz, yourself, Steve, and Keith, you know, their thoughts on that. Just to add as well, obviously we've got a bit of Redmen royalty now here. Actually, Grizz as well was on Redmen, but also Steve, who's now the new member. So just to say congrats to Steve. Last Thursday announced that.
Absolutely, I'm just a contributor now and again. Steve is actually officially part of the Redmen TV network, so absolutely so chuffed to bits for him. Congratulations from all of us, of course, first and foremost, about that.
Thanks, boys. Busy week, obviously, and busy weekend. Just the 7 recordings since Friday afternoon, but just the 7. But like Conroy, it was a bit of a shitter, wasn't it? Saturday afternoon, certainly the lunchtime. how am I sort of 36 hours on? Not quite. I'm over it to some degree. I have some concerns like you, Grizz, and I'm sure we'll get into those. The thing I can't get my head around is how we're only 6 points off the top of the league in the form we're in. So do you know what? If we're going to find a positive out of all of this, that might well be it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have to. We have to. First and foremost, we've got some people that are asking some funny questions. Why do I have to like the video? You don't. Who said you have to like the video, Mustafa? You don't have to like it. You don't have to view it. You don't even have to be here, mate. Do what you got to do. I'm requesting all the nice people because I've just read some of your comments and you're in a trolling mood today. And I think you're in the wrong channel to troll because I'm not as nice as some other channels. If I see trollers and piss takers, I block you and tell you to F off out of here. I don't need your view, whatever. But if you do want to hear us talk, if you do want to share our opinion and share your opinions, please don't be shy. Hit that like button. Captain Sal channel member says, good evening to the big dogs. Therapy is much needed. Absolutely. Hassan, one of our great contributors every time, says, evening lads. Rookie as well. Good evening lads. Hope you're all well. Steve with the glasses. Yeah, Steve's when he's in his sophisticated, really lecturing mood.
Smaller screen. You know, when you get to a certain age, guys, you need some assistance. And a license sitting in front of computer games has really not done me any favours. So I'll be back without the glasses when I get a webcam from my laptop. So it's all good.
Excellent. Channel member Duffer says, hi, Grizz and panel. Pep Linders has to go to this Tony Pulis football side pass, then long diagonal, has to stop. Will be discussed. Who else is here? Channel members, obviously. Congrats, Stays. Pixelated Pigeon says, excellent stuff, Steve. So there you go. Lots of love and affection for Steve, of course, and rightly so. Good evening, everyone. Keith, Mr. Top Red Man, smiling still, which is good. That's always a positive sign. We know you've been kicked out from room to room because you make too much noise. Surely that noise wasn't over the football this weekend because we didn't have much to shout about.
We didn't have much to shout about. But if you ever meet me in real life, you'll know how my voice can be very booming, shall we say. So it's disturbing the missus, so I've been kicked out into the other spare room. No, I'm good. I had a bit of a man flu this week, so I was a bit worse for wear. And then we watched the game on Saturday, which almost put me back into man flu a little bit. It was such a frustrating time. But my favorite competition in the entire world begins this week. And it's the champion.
Deflection already. See, typical Top Red behavior.
By the way,
that's Jose Mourinho-esque deflection there. That's Jose Mourinho-esque.
Just because we're struggling in the league, he's just deflected onto the Champions League.
Forget about it. Don't worry about the league. It's always been about the champions.
I prefer not to speak. That's key.
Yeah. But yeah, I've dusted my, transfer window's done. I've dusted my Top Red hat on. It's back here. So today, hopefully, I can give some positive vibes and energy to what has been a frustrating start to the season. So, yeah,
it has been a frustrating start to the season. Frustration is probably a word that we can 100% use. Concerned maybe is another word we can use. Worried. I guess usually these weeks before a game, what we do is we look at the lineup. We wait for the eagerly awaited lineup to come out and see what the state of our injuries are, see what the state of the squad is. Has Klopp? So we spoke about the possible lineup, and amongst the fan base there was this clamour, a huge clamour I felt building up during the week to go back to, for Klopp to go out, balls out, heavy metal football, and pick Carvalho and Elliott in the same team. Most of us thought, nah, come on, realistically, that's not really wise in a Merseyside derby. We wake up. We also find Bobby Firmino probably in the best form he's been in a long while. We all thought, nah, he's nailed on to start. Nunes, he's not going to throw him into a Merseyside derby. Well, as I said, literally, we wake up on a Saturday afternoon and Conroy, we pick the team that, what is it? The whole of the media fan base wanted. Is it fair to say? Let's get that team up and then we can sort of have a look at this team that we selected. And picked, I went straight to the WhatsApp group, guys, and you guys are my witnesses because we share the same WhatsApp group. And I said to you guys, I don't like this. I do not like this. I'm not one of these guys that thought Fabio Cavaglia should be thrown into a Merseyside derby away from home, especially on the back of sort of they haven't won. We're not in great form. The Núñez one, I can understand, and I actually thought he's going to start, and I predicted he's going to start. But that midfield worried me. Tsimikas was a bit of a surprise as well. I'm going to admit, I'm going to confess, I thought he's going to go with Robertson again. Conroy, come to you first. What was your thoughts when you see that lineup on your screen?
No, it's first things first. I think the Tsimikas one, surprised, but probably more for like, you know, Klopp, you'd thinking the intensity of the Everton, you know, the Merseyside derby might go with Robertson, but I'd say on performance, you know, fair enough, justified. Tsimikas came in the last couple of games, not really done much, but I think it's very hard to judge him. You need to give him a full game. It's very easy to say, do something in the last 20 minutes. So I think that was warranted. My biggest concern, and I said it in the chat as well, Grizz, you were obviously more on this. I said, I think if we're on our game, it'll not be an issue in the midfield with Elliott and Carvalho. And what that means is if we can, you know, there is other midfields like that. If you're technically that good on the ball and don't give that team a chance to hurt you in transition, then great. But you really have to be on it. And Everton, I already thought they were going to play Inanna, and actually I thought it would have been Idrissa Gueye, but it was Tom Davies. But I knew they were going to have legs around us because, to be fair to Lampard, he will adapt his game against us. And I feel like that was my concern. The biggest thing about football, and maybe the last couple of years as well, but especially with how the increased intensity and pressing is if you get caught in transition, and especially specifically Liverpool. So my biggest concern was the transition with that midfield, with Carvalho and Elliott. And so I've got to be honest, I think in hindsight it's very easy to say, but I think even seeing that original lineup, my concern was Everton are just going to catch us out and they're going to get chances from it. And to be honest, I know we're going to go through the game, but I think quite early on it showed that they were having success with that. So with regard to the lineup, the midfield was my only real concern. I was fine with Tsimikas, and I was actually quite happy with Núñez. We're speaking about his performance there, but I was okay with that as well. I will say this though, I think Firmino is really, in the last couple of games, is one of the positives, because he's really came out of, what is that, 3 games now, Bournemouth, Newcastle, in that game, and I'd say 3, you know, solid performances. So just on a side note, I think that's really good for him, performance-wise.
Keith, I don't remember your response. I don't even know if you was awake or sober that early in the morning when I said this.
He's still at Carnival, probably. Still at Carnival.
Yeah. So I can't even remember your response. But what was your response when you saw that team? I've got a feeling you was rubbing your hands with glee and saying, "Yes, this is what I want to see: the young blood, the young kings in midfield." Was you, or was you really? Or did reality hit you and think, we're a bit light in midfield? Fabinho's not playing great, and now he's got 2 kids alongside him against what's going to be a dogs of war Everton team.
Have you seen that meme where the guy has the plaster and he says that I can block anything?
Oh yes, I saw it.
Yes. And he puts it on the leaking jug. That is what I felt Fabinho was in that moment, right? It was exciting in one sense because I was like, wow, this is cool. Look at us, man. We're going balls deep in this game. But at the same time, I was thinking, absolutely no way is one human being going to literally cover the entire midfield on his own. Conroy makes an important point because I think it's a point that's become more and more apparent in a lot of Premier League games and a lot of goals that are being scored this season. And it's the power of the transition. Arsenal got killed with it today, right? They got killed badly with the transition. Counter-attacking teams, man, they're the new flavor of the month at the moment. And if you are going to try and play a team that's going to sit back and recoil and hit out, you're going to get caught every 5 minutes. And as much as I live in a dream where I could see the like us do a little bit of a City do that sometimes when they'll play 2 attacking midfielders and they'll just have Rodri as the middle set CDM.
They do it all the time. That is their formation. That is their formation.
But they're 10 times better in possession than we ever will be. In that, their patterns of play are so intrinsic, and so they've got so much patterns.
But the reason for that, Keith, I mean, I'm not going to let you slander Liverpool like that. I think our position can be as good as that and will be as good as that, but not with two kids that have A, never played together, and B, Carvalho, who's literally a kid who's barely played in that position, never mind in this position, in a club midfield that is so well normally calculated and planned. So I don't, I get the notion of, City play that, but City have absolute experienced campaigners playing in Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne that have been playing in that formation, in that team for what, 4 or 5 years now as well.
Even Gundogan as well, though. You think
Gundogan as well,
quite a very underrated player.
Don't get me wrong. I hear you on those fronts. In fact, what kind of was sad about the Fabio experiment as the 8/6, we've talked about this a lot, is that the only time we would really be playing him in that kind of situation is if we got a settled 2 in midfield. We haven't had a settled anything. The last time we have not had a settled team at all. The only settled team we had, which was, I believe, was Bournemouth and in the Newcastle game. That was the only time this season where Klopp has played a settled side. So for me, it was a risk. I was excited to see it, but the first 10 minutes of the game kind of panned out exactly how I think a lot of us would see it happen. Not to say that I wouldn't like to see Fabio in that position as an option in the future, but at this moment in time, we can't be experimenting like that. I mean, you're going to experiment like that, you play against an Everton side who haven't won a football match all season, fair enough, and you can get away with it. But you try to do that against Newcastle or against Spurs or an Arsenal, United, we were absolutely crushed. But yeah, I was excited nonetheless. I think that was more just giddiness than anything else.
Your usual top red giddiness, which exactly. Listen, is absolutely fine. It consumes us, it takes over us, and that's why we're in the game for. Steve, which side of the fence was you on? Was you on the giddiness and can't wait, or was you on pretty much like me? I'm not liking this. I hope I'm wrong. Or did you think? Because the other point, I guess, Steve, is did Jurgen Klopp have much option?
He did, yeah. I was kind of giddy at first, and then reality set in your face.
Remember when I said Pot's gone, and Conrad didn't know what that meant? And I asked me, what the hell does that mean? I said, I'm shitting myself.
I thought Graham Potter had left Brighton. I'll be honest.
Oh, you're addicted. You're bloody addicted to him. You're like
Keith is on the train. Keith is 100% on that train as well. Now. Sorry.
No, it's good. I was like, wow, that's a ballsy selection. That's really brave. And he obviously thinks at some point that's the way he wants to play. And it is a mixture of what you and Keith just said. It is trying to replicate what Man City do with the 5 attacking players. My concern was goalkeeper we know about, the back 4 we know about, the number 6 we know about. Everything in front of the number 6 was new, untried and untested. And that wasn't the game to do it, because Everton just put in a line of 4, a line of 5 and said, go on then, break us down. Within 10 minutes, we'd given up and we're using diagonal balls out wide. So clearly, Frank Lampard, give him his credit, has seen what Everton were like last season and decided, I'm going to make us difficult to beat. And they are difficult to beat, but they also don't win football matches. And I don't think that's the right game to take those risks and try a permutation of 5 players advanced to your number 6 that have never played together before or never played together before in a system like that, which we've never done under Klopp. He clearly sees that as the way forward. And I would like to see that grow. But you kind of have to pick your games when you try that. And Everton away, Lampard's first game in front of the fans, Lampard's first games where he got the place behind the team, where he got Neil Maupay running his blood to water to prove a point because it's just his first game, it's his debut. I just thought all of the variables that we've just discussed there between all of us were too big on the day for the team.
I pretty much agree with you. Got a super chat that I want to speak about. We're going to speak about as we go on. Voice of Reason, appreciate the support. He says, do you think Darwin was the wrong profile of forward to buy? Us having a non-creative midfield made it important to buy a forward with good link-up, in my opinion. I don't know if you want to address that, because that is one of the things that you spoke quite a bit about, Conroy, in terms of the type of forward that you wanted to
Yeah.
see brought in. So maybe address this now then, yeah.
Yeah. What we'll do is, I think, like, what I would say is, and I know people don't want to hear it because it's frustrating now, but it is early doors with Darwin Núñez. Let's be honest, he's played, what, 4 games? Is that right? He's had 2 good games and 2 bad games. So we have to kind of take a bit of context into that. To me, I agree. I think he's a frustrating type of player when he's not on it. I think he's maybe over trying. Steve, I think you mentioned that in the past as well. It looks like he's kind of keen to impress. Well, I'd be keen to impress if I headbutted someone as well and got a 3-match suspension. So, like, I'm not going to let him away from that. That was a moronic moment. But I do think, to be fair to him, even when he's playing poorly, there's still instances we're talking about at the end of the match. He's still getting involved. Now, he's got to do better. But for me, I still think the reason they went for him, you talk about the profile, is I think they went for someone who can be a presence in the box that I've mentioned, which he did have chances, didn't take them well, but he did have chances. But he can also be part of our link-up in the sense of our counter-attack because he's got pace to get in behind. And you probably see that more against the bigger teams we play because they will give us space. But I do think he will come to a good level in these sort of games where people are sitting in because he has got that physical presence. So that's why I think specifically they went for a Darwin Núñez because, one, he's young, secondly, he's got pace, and he has a physical presence. I mean, for me, that's why that's the profile they went for. And I think saying he's finished now, come on, he's only played 4 games. I just think the one maybe argument you could say is he's probably more of a project than was initially thought. But I'm not going to say that yet because it's only been 4 games. And in 2 of them, he scored against the best team, one of the best teams in the world, and he came off the bench and scored against Fulham. So I still think I'm going to give him a bit of time to prove himself.
No, absolutely. I don't even think he's played 4 games. I mean, you're probably counting friendlies.
Yeah. 3.5, yeah.
I mean, Dean says, go back and watch Núñez against us. He was everywhere, dropping off. We are using him completely wrong like a target man. I'd say we're not... I'd say we're just learning how to use him. Now, there's obviously a plan. We haven't just bought him and just thrust him up there. We don't operate. We don't work like that. But it literally is early days. He hasn't had a midfield. I doubt if we play that midfield ever again. Like this season, fingers crossed, hopefully, there's no injuries or whatever. Everyone coming back now, Thiago back, Curtis Jones back. He's learning as much as we're learning how he plays. And we've seen the attributes that he has from his previous games, obviously, with Benfica, and obviously what we've seen in sort of pre-season so far. It's just a matter of giving him time. Absolutely is. He will score goals. There will be teething problems. And we're going to get on to sort of why some people are suggesting this is a transition season. The buzzword on social media. But we'll get into that. Keith, the game starts exactly how we think it's going to start. Both teams are up for it. The energy levels on both teams at the start is very high. But just like pretty much every single game this season, bar Bournemouth, we have zero control again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The control thing is something that I'm still not concerned about at the moment. For me, to win a Premier League or to compete for a Premier League title, you need to have your best 13, 14 players fit, available for the majority of the season, right? Now, I know it's annoying to talk about, and I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating to have to go to all your WhatsApp groups and have your Arsenal mates and your Man United mates take the piss out of you all the time because Liverpool are not top of the league. It's annoying to go on social media and have to defend Liverpool all the time. It's annoying to talk about injuries. I appreciate all of that within the fan base, but continuity is needed before we can make a real an analysis on whether what we're trying to evolve into is correct or not. And at this moment in time, this midfield has changed so much in such a short space of time. Our front three has changed so much in such a short space of time that it's roll up your sleeves time. And I knew going into this game, like I've known going into pretty much every game we're going to go into for a while, that it's going to be ugly, it's going to be dogged, it's going to be frustrating, and it's going to be hard to watch because these players are playing with different players every game, and the patterns are just not there. So if you're not able to connect with it's all about being able to do things in the subconscious. It's all about doing things with instinct. And at this moment in time, we've not been able to do anything with any instinct because there's just been nothing there. So I wasn't surprised that there was no control. I wasn't surprised at the fact that, Fabio Carvalho is playing in a position he's never played in anymore. Harvey Elliott is still, as much as we like the start to the season that he's had, when we look at the type of positions that he picks up, he still plays like a bit of a number 10, right? He's still not quite got the levels of continuity between Trent and Mo Salah yet. That triangle's not evolved, which ironically was what a great triangle at one stage with Henderson. That hasn't evolved as much as we would have liked to. And the same with the connection between the Diaz and Robertson or Shimikas on the other side. So you've got a situation at the moment where Van Dijk and Gomez are kind of playing it between each other. Fabinho, they're all just kind of like passing it around, and no one can make the quick pass. No one can move the ball quickly because no one really knows where anybody's going to pick up each other up in space. So yeah, we started how I anticipated we would start. There was no control. When we were getting passes wrong, Everton were hitting us on the break. They had quick players in transition. Again, transition, the big buzzword of the Premier League season. And we were getting hit on the transition and on the break. And what happens? For once, luck was on our side. Because how Tom Davies did not finish that ball, did not ripple the back of the net, God was on our side in that particular moment. Again, another situation, intensity. There was no intensity when the ball gets picked up on the right-hand side, right? No pressing on that side. Everybody stops, right? Ball gets pinged in amongst the box. Everybody stops. No one's really moving for it. Gomez tries to do a half-hearted tackle, bobs up. Van Dijk goes in, misses the challenge, and then Davis gets a shot in and goal. It hits the post. All of that is from our own problems at the moment. And that comes down to control. We are not controlling games. And it's ironic. It's ironic because when we were winning the Premier League, when we were going on to win the Premier League, we picked the same 11 every single week. And what did we debate on the Twitters, on the podcast, on the YouTube? Why is he picking the same team every week? He should be playing this guy. Why is Wijnaldum always starting? We had this debate to God knows where else. We didn't know how good we had it then. And now we're in a situation where we realize how good we had it at the time.
Steve, I think Keith is spot on about the reason why there's no control. Because for control, you need familiarity. You need to feel confident in that familiarity in your teammates. You need cohesion. Cohesion comes with knowing your players like the back of your hand, knowing your teammates, where they're going to be, reading each other's minds and passes. And one of the biggest traits of ours, like Keith says, was we were so dominating teams in terms of our patterns of play may have been... People talk about our patterns of play are repetitive and boring and the same. Well, the reason why we pursued those patterns of play and repeated them were because they were so good. And the opposition didn't have an answer to them. Right now, obviously, we don't have the personnel. Klopp doesn't have the personnel to implement that game plan. And I think he's trying to, in this game, I think he's trying to just outgun them, outcreate them, just outscore them. Back to the first couple of years where he just picked the most attacking team he could possibly pick. Is that the right way to go forward, do you think, until we get the likes of Thiago and Henderson back again? Do you see him continuing this sort of mentality?
No, I think he's learned a lesson at the weekend that as much as he'd like to do it, it isn't going to work in games against resilient sides. And that's probably Everton's biggest attribute right now, resilience, in terms of, work hard and do all the right things to keep the opposition out. What is interesting is we've been outrun by every team we played this season, bar none. We've been outrun by everybody. That's so not like a Klopp team. So as well as the familiarity and the muscle memory, because that's the thing, when you play passages of play and you do it week in, week out, it becomes muscle memory. So you can afford to push a ball into a space and one of your fullbacks is going to come marauding onto it and fizz a ball in and it's going to hit Bobby and then it's going to go out to, and all of that stuff that we've seen time and time again that Keith quite rightly points out. We said, we want to see this player playing and that player playing. I think we'd all give our right arm for a Gini Wijnaldum type player right now, who could fill in that gap and be consistently available and strong week in, week out. No, because I can't see him carrying on with this. I can't see him carrying on with, we'll get into this in a bit more detail. The front line was mental on Saturday. The front line was absolutely mental. and it was crying out for Bobby. As soon as Bobby came on, the game changed because his ability to bring the ball down and bring other people into the game, and there was none of that at all in throughout the game until Bobby arrived on the pitch. The interesting thing is Núñez is a bit of a project. That's fair to say. We're trying to build a front three with a guy that's been with us since January, and we've had 10 weeks off, don't forget, or however long it was, and a guy that's played 3.25, 3.5 games for us. We're trying to learn cohesiveness. We're trying to learn muscle memory. We're trying to learn patterns of play in real-time live games of football, and that's painful. That's going to hurt anybody. And as a result of that, we're getting it. So what you've got to try and do, 5 subs works perfectly for us in the sense that you play Bobby, you play Diaz, you play Mo, you do all the things that we used to do in the years gone by with the trusted front three. You get back to that. When you've won games and you're 3 or 4 up because we've got the ability to do that, then you make the changes with your substitutes and you start to play with your new system, with your Carvalhos and your Elliots in advanced positions with a midfielder sort of shepherding the back 4. And then you bring in your Núñez and you try and do what you're doing with your Núñez, because all the time you're taking risks, you're dropping points. And we can't afford to drop any points at the moment. So couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe my eyes when that came out. I thought, wow, that's amazing. That's a really attacking side. Everton just sat there, didn't they, in front of their box and said, go on then, show us what you can do. I don't want to see experiments of that nature again. We're going to have to go on a run where we turn 3 points into 6 points, into 9 points, into 12 points, and so on and so forth, because only City and Liverpool in recent years have been able to win 10 games in a row. And I still think we can do that, but maybe not doing what we did at the weekend.
Conroy, the experiment or the selection, I guess it was an experiment because it's something new and it hadn't been done before and we weren't sure about the results, although it would have made sense in his head and the coach's head that this could work for this game. I think he was fed up of going to Everton and just not being able to create any chances, barring last season. Forget last season, but generally, when we go to Everton, it's usually a 0-0 or a draw, and there's no chances created. I think he had this idea that they're going to just completely sit back, and just frustrate the shit out of us, and we're going to have to be the enforcers in terms of chance creation, pressing. We're going to have to take the game to them. They, in fact, took the game quite a bit to us as well. I'm not sure if they saw the lineup and probably changed tack and thought, we can press these, we can bully them almost physically. Whatever it was, it didn't work, did it? In that first half, we had a couple of chances. So, okay, Keith's touched upon the chance that they create, but we create a couple of chances out of nothing. In fact, the much talked about Núñez has a shot out of nothing, very much like Fernando Torres. Do you remember this goal he scored against Blackburn, was it?
Yeah.
Over his head, volley, smashes the crossbar. From that phase of play, Diaz picks up the ball, does a very similar run to what he done the other day, smashes the crossbar. That probably was the highlight of that first half for us.
No, definitely. Do you remember who plays the pass to Núñez? Is it Trent?
It's Gomez.
It's quite a good pass, I thought, as well. So yeah, definitely. The shot takes a deflection as well. It's an outstanding save by Jordan Pickford, to be honest. It's top save. And then again, Diaz, quite unlucky when he does that. He's a bit frustrating at times, to be honest, because I feel like just saying, if you're going to shoot, just shoot. Stop faking to shoot 5 times and then passing it back. If you're going to shoot, just shoot. And he does there, and it hits the post. Well, there is something about Diaz now. It's like we said before, is it Robbo and Diaz? It's Shimikas and Diaz. I think at times it's like, just decide what you're going to do. It's like the amount of times you just hesitate and it stops a play from occurring does frustrate me. I don't know if you guys agree. I don't know if he knows if he's maybe got too much information right now. But when he first came, he was just playing freely. Now it's like, I'll cut in. Oh, I'm not going to take a man on. I'm not going to beat him down the left. And that was what he got credit for at the start. So I don't know if he's maybe confused his game right now. Don't get me wrong. I think he's playing well, by the way. I just think at times, do you guys agree? Do you think he's overthinking instead of just playing? Yeah, see that.
Sometimes it's about releasing it a little bit more, and sometimes it's a touch too many, shall we say. And I don't ever think that he had. I don't feel like when Sadio first burst onto the scene, I thought Sadio was better at isolating a man 1v1 and taking him in the early Sadio days. I don't think Diaz necessarily has that ability yet to isolate. Plus, if I'm going to be honest with you, I actually think players have cottoned onto him a lot quicker. They know to double up on Diaz.
Yeah, Carvajal taught him a lesson in the Champions League final, sent him back to Porto for a week. Honestly, he did. But I still think he's been well. I'm not being too critical. I just think that's one part of his game. But yeah, he has a great strike, to be fair, and is very, very unlucky to be.
It's almost unbelievable how doesn't go in, because he actually hits the inside of the across, it comes across, doesn't it? Well, how often do we see that go in? Sorry.
No, definitely. It's actually a good point. I think, to be fair, Steve mentioned another show. I was listening to you. You said, Steve, it's like 9 times out of 10, if you hit there, it goes across and either hits the other post and goes in, or hits the side net and across the way. So it is very unlucky. But again, it would have been papering over cracks. And that's the truth of that first half performance.
But the thing is, sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's okay in a game like that, when you've got a lineup like that, to get a goal out of nothing, because they didn't look like creating anything unless we were caught out of possession and out of position.
Yep.
And that was the only way they were going to break on us as well. So look, for example, I mean, LFCR says, 786 says, Gomez's passing ability has gone up a level. Very good. Now, I think myself, if you take away Gomez, is that one mishap. I think Keith was talking about it, sort of where he tries to clear the ball and it just doesn't clear. He doesn't make a very good connection, and they get a chance. And again, Virgil makes a attempt at blocking. We won't go into it, or maybe I don't know if you guys want to talk about it. That's not for me. That's not a Premier League defender who is putting his body on the line. Yeah. I'm sorry, that isn't. That was like a tackle.
I'd have to disagree there. Grizz.
Go for it. Do you know what we're talking about? Yeah, Gomez.
Yeah. Then it comes out
Gomez
to Davis.
Makes a mess of the clearance, and I think it's Mopé jumps on the ball, and all Van Dijk can do at that point is go, shit, that wasn't meant to happen, what Gomez does. So I've got to get something in front of the ball. It's no time to think about it. He's just got to react straight away. I actually thought the centre-backs were quite good at the weekend in comparison to the first 2 games of the season. He gets something on the ball, he blocks it. It's very, very difficult to know what to do in that situation. And then you get to Keith's point. If Tom Davis trusts his left foot and just has a swing at it, he scores.
I don't know. That's unlucky for me.
No. Conroy, it's clear his left foot's just for standing on, mate.
You could hit it right at the keeper left foot. He's went for an angle that if that comes off, Alisson's got absolutely no hope against the best keeper in the world.
Well, do you know what? If he's knocking that in, mate, he's up there with Messi in terms of very quick thinking ability, mate.
Professional footballers can hit the ball outside of their foot. I think we're being far too kind to the mediocrity footballers.
Mate, I still have a swing at it with his left foot. Now,
I can do that outside my left foot.
He would score from there with a swing of his left foot, mate.
People are saying my VVD, so they're referring to me. Your VVD and Fab agenda is quite bogus. How can I have an agenda against 2 of the most influential players in my lifetime as Liverpool players? Like literally the 2 most influential, the best centre-back I've ever seen in my life at Liverpool, and the best DM I've ever seen in my life. If you, who was it, John? If you genuinely, in your heart of hearts, think they're playing at the top of their game, then enjoy and carry on, my friend. But please don't tell me it's a bogus agenda, because I'm speaking on what I'm seeing. And I think majority of the fan base will admit that Fabinho and Virgil van Dijk are not on the top of their games. And if Steve disagrees with me, that's absolutely fine.
No, I do agree that there's plenty more to come from both of those 2. They're not playing at the high standards they've set.
But this is it. It's not an agenda. We have high standards for world-class players.
I'm not saying it's an agenda. And at the end of the day...
I know you're not. Sorry. Yeah, I know you're not. Yeah.
But in that instance...
You're saying Virgil done what he could do. I think Virgil could have done more in terms of flinging himself at that. It was lucky he didn't go in. I mean, that was another chance that was lucky.
He's already blocked the shot, so it's
but it's blocked it tamely. It's blocked it tamely that it's ricocheted.
we'll have to agree to disagree on that one, my friend.
I think that one. I think if you look off the back of what he's been playing recently, I kind of agree with Steve. I think he does quite well there. But what I'm saying is, I don't think we're at a top level now, Van Dijk, the way he's playing. But I don't think they were that bad at the weekend compared to what they have been, to be honest. But unless I'm forgetting moments,
that's where I was coming to. That's where I was coming to. The original point I was coming to was, I think apart from that, I thought Gomez was very close to being back to his best. So I was trying to look for positives out of that first half. We haven't even gone into the second half yet. I thought Gomez was showing class. Like so many times, Demarai Gray and Anthony Gordon tried to play that ball over the back. And even if they did get past Trent or Tsimikas, which they did, and I think Tsimikas again had a very good game against Demarai Gray. I have to say that. I thought Tsimikas was class, in my opinion.
He was good. No one was class in the first half.
No, yeah, class is stretching it, but you know, he was very, very good. Just people. Sorry, go on.
I will say one thing. Just going back to our chance with the Núñez chance, it does create a conversation, because at the start of this show, somebody wrote in saying, "Oh, like, you know, now we're going long ball, Tony Pulis-esque style, right?" And Lingard should be in trouble. I think the issue you have at the moment is not necessarily the long ball, but that pass is going to be on so much more this season because of the point I've been raising a lot. Teams now are getting more and more confident at pressing Liverpool, pressing our centre-backs and pressing our wide forwards higher up the pitch. And that instance is exactly what happens. If you watch that back, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Everton players in our half when Joe Gomez plays that ball. Now, normally, in most seasons, Liverpool are playing on the halfway line pretty much from the first minute, and they're knocking it about, and teams are just, you know, sitting in. This season, teams are getting more confident to get further up the pitch. Darwin Núñez, for me, is one of the best last line runners in the Premier League. And I'll go step further. If we can find him quicker, maybe with a bit, you know, not necessarily always going up and over, but on the floor, we can release that ball quicker when he makes those moves. He was making those runs time and time and time again, and he doesn't get caught offside often. That is the key difference of what Núñez is going to bring to Liverpool, that defenders from other clubs are not used to playing. So now they're thinking, well, Liverpool play with a false 9 and the wingers come in. So do you know what? We're going to push the wide further up and we're going to press them higher up the pitch. That's where Núñez, that chance alone is what Núñez is going to bring to the table moving forward. So
100%.
I want to make that point.
100%. And do you know what that makes us? That makes us press resistant as well. Because if you go and put 5 people in our half and press our centre-backs, they've got the ability to do that. We score 3 goals in that style where you play the ball long into feet. And Bob Paisley used to say, it's not a long ball, it's the right ball. And I think that's a really important thing to remember there. Once we score a couple of times off doing that, teams are going to go, well, you can't go and press the centre-backs because look what they can do to you. At this moment in time, something's changed in the Premier League with the intensity of all of the teams right now. And Keith's right, they're going in a bit of confidence. They're pushing a little bit further up the pitch. That is a really good opportunity for us to say, go on then, press us. Because I've got 2 centre-halves that can find my forward with 60-yard passes. We'll get in behind you that way. Go on, try it and see what you get. And if he scores from those chances, other teams will stop trying it.
I don't fully agree. I mostly agree. I don't fully agree. And the reason why I don't, guys, Keith and Steve, obviously we haven't heard Conroy's opinion on this, but I think teams will only press us whilst we haven't got our first choice midfield. Whilst we haven't got the likes of a Thiago, Fabinho and a Henderson or a Naby before, I think teams will feel confident, or in their head confident, that they can press the likes of Milner if he's playing there, Elliott if he's playing there, and Fabio as they're playing there. I think teams will pick and choose. Different teams, different coaches will pick their tactics accordingly. And obviously the tactics in terms of pressing in the high line will depend on the selection of our team, because they won't play that. I don't think they will play that. If we have Thiago, Fabinho and Naby playing, for example, right? I don't think teams will try to press those guys. And with Núñez in the team, I think they'll know to play deep. There won't be that space, Keith. But if we've got a Bobby playing, then they know they can press real deep, real high up. And this is where we're going to need our wingers to have more variety in our games. I don't think Diaz has picked up on the game tactically as much as obviously Mane had, because Mane's been there for so long. But maybe it's a time to start talking about the Salah now. Maybe we can segue onto the Salah debate, because a lot of people all over social media are speaking about sort of his position and where he's playing. Do you have any opinions on if there's any credence to this, guys? Whoever wants to take this one first.
Darwin Núñez is the issue in terms of getting him into the side. It's not really an issue. It's a conundrum we need to solve. When you're playing an orthodox number 9, they move differently to a false number 9. So we play with very inverted wide men. We've seen Diaz come more central. We're definitely trying to channel the inner Sadio Mane in him and bring him inside to take opportunities and score goals. If Salah takes up his normal position, I'm not even sure Darwin Núñez has a pocket of space to run into to get that shot off that Pickford tipped onto his crossbar. So he's giving him greater surface area to cover where he can pick out the last central defender and try and run him, because Keith's spot on. He's probably the best, or whoever it was, I think it was you, Keith. He's probably the best centre forward to pick out and run off the last central defender, because he's so quick to get to top speed. So quick is his movement, takes up some really, really clever positions for someone that's quite young. What we need to try and figure out is how we get Darwin Núñez into the team without negating the impact of the best goal scorer in the Premier League for the last 5 seasons. And Salah is sacrificing some of where he wants to be in terms of position on the pitch to allow Núñez the space to work against the centre halves. And I really don't think it works, and I don't want to see it again. I need to see Salah more central.
Conroy, I don't know what your views are on this, whatever. I mean, we've discussed it. Not much happening in the game. I know we've kind of segued into the Salah chat without going back to the game. Maybe let's go back to the game for now, unless you want to come in on this.
No, I think no, Steve's mentioned that. To be perfectly honest, I think Klopp said after the game that he doesn't think there's been much changes in Salah's actual positioning of the game. And I've had a little look before today, and I've not had a massive sample size, but I just looked at the Everton game last year, and I don't think his positioning heat maps changed too much, to be perfectly honest. I'd just say he's more progressive up that side. He is always coming in, but Salah's not like planted in the box for most of the game. That's not what he does. It's more about so the one difference I would say is instead of him getting the ball on the byline, he'll maybe get it just in between, see like the half space between the fullback and centre back. Like he'd usually maybe plant a centre back or a fullback he'd be on his back there. He'll take the ball and it'll allow space for other forwards around the box. That's what I'd say is different. So there's a little slight tweak with that's definitely, he's maybe hugging the byline too much. But I don't think it's as bad as people are making out. I do think there's still similarities. I just think what he's maybe trying to do this season is last year, or at certain times, he'd take the ball out wide and beat a few men. And I don't think he's doing that great at the moment as well, so it's getting amplified. But I don't think I'm not too worried about the positional sense, to be honest. What I would say is last year he definitely found the half space a lot better than he has this season. But I can't work out if that's more Klopp's instructions or just the way we're trying to integrate everybody.
I think this is where I agree with Steve. It's amazing. All of us have different opinions on each other's opinions. I love it. This is where I agree with Steve, and I disagree with you, Conroy, this time. And I'm not playing devil's advocate. I swear I'm not. I'm just being honest.
That's all right.
I think he's got a point, because I was listening to. I'm always listening to Steve, but but what I meant was like when Steve was talking about the Darwin Núñez that he makes in that right channel. How many times, and for me, one of the skills of Mohamed Salah is the timing of his inverted runs. He always tends to start wide. He never, you're right, where you say he doesn't prowl around the penalty box. We've got this image, or some people have started having this image of Salah prowling around the penalty box and being a predator in the area, and that's why he scores so many goals. No, Salah's never been about that. One of his greatest talents, and not many people have this is why he's one of the greatest, is his timing from the out to in run is elite levels. With Núñez, Nunes makes that central to right run a lot. We've hardly seen Nunes, what we were told, or what we scouts, people that watched him very much more than us, we were told that Nunes goes out to left a lot. Weren't we told that? We were absolutely told that, and all image compilations suggested that. So therefore, I think there is some form of instruction from the coaches to have changed this tactic. Now, we don't see it right now because we're frustrated that Salah's not involved and he's the best goal scorer we've got. He needs to be involved. But maybe there is method to this madness and we're just not seeing it, because there's absolutely, I think, a method. There's absolutely instruction of Nunes making more runs to the right and Salah, but I don't get it. I'm not agreeing with it, but I think there is something to it.
No, that's a fair point. And so just sorry, Steve, just the last to add to that. When I say the progression, like maybe not going as up that side, up to in, if you're coming up to the right side, you talk about the quick runs you used to make. I want to ask everybody, do you find that's maybe also, coinciding with Trent's passing not being quite at it as well?
Yes, sir.
Passing not being, because that's how we were always looking at, as Keith said, transition. That's the word tonight. But we used to always look at that quickly. And if maybe they're not at it as well, that's also affecting most play. But there's maybe both related to the Nunes stuff, also with our passing ability not being quite at it. So I find that's an interesting one, though. It would be interesting to see how that, if that is a constant, point that comes up in the next couple of games as well.
Well, that shot that Pickford tips onto the bar comes from a run into the half space. This is exactly where it comes from. So,
to the right side, from left.
Yeah, if he's running into that space, Salah can't run in there as well. And
this is my point. Yeah,
there's a heat map doing the rounds at the moment, and there's a real light blue sphere in the centre of that heat map, and it's actually on the touchline. And when Liverpool is struggling and when Salah is struggling, he tends to drift wider and wider and wider and wider when we're struggling, when things aren't going well. Because we ditched the plan to play through the middles after 10 minutes because Everton set us a problem that our two young lads couldn't solve. He had to go wide to be an outball, and I think that heat map from the game is slightly impacted by that, and it's not something we'd see every single game. But Everton set us a very, very difficult task of trying to break them down. I thought they were really well organised, and their concentration levels for 90 minutes, you have to give them credit for that. They did what they set out to do.
No, absolutely.
And we had to go from in to out with every single ball that was sprayed, whether it be from a centre back, whether it be for Fabinho. Those two young lads didn't get on the ball at all in the first half. They watched the game pass them by.
Absolutely. And this is what happened. Basically, Keith, I wanted to come to you about sort of the changes that were needed. In fact, I've got a fair few of super chats I want to quickly get through. I'm so sorry, Keith. Let me just quickly get through them. We've spoken about that. Okay, Adam says I missed his super chat, but I was going to bring up at the end. Adam is a Man United fan, obviously. All I can do is smile after being the August champions. The Ten Hag is well on the way. Anthony, good luck. Enjoy yourself, my friend. Thank you. So if you've just beaten the August champions, I assume you're the September champions coming up to now, possibly. Dinesh, I love his profile pic every time. It's inspiring. I love creatures like that. Is that a tiger, right? No. It's a
hyena, is it? Or is it a hyena?
Why the fuck would I like a hyena?
Is it a cheetah?
Or a cheetah.
Is it a cheetah? I love cheetahs. As a kid, I used to love cheetahs. I don't know why. Good news. Got Matip and Jota back, absolutely. And what's going on with Naby Keita, not in the Champions League squad? Liverpool not telling about his injuries. Dinesh, we will talk about all of that near the end of the show after we've had a look at the game. Adam sends in a super chat. Says, not cause age, just tactics clash. Central midfield playing the false nine, while forward staying wide and crossing with no overlap. We miss Salah, Mane, Origi, and Taki goals. Fire Z Fist Z says, I'm sorry to be blunt, but Nunes stinks. So annoyed. I haven't been that close to smell him. I haven't been that close to smell him. So I'm not sure if he stinks.
He came on for 20 minutes against Manchester City in the Community Shield, right? And within that time, he had 3 headers, right? One was a goal, one led to a penalty, and one went
it's
to
frustration.
Right?
Let's
so,
just.
You know what I mean? It's like, so what I'm saying is there is proof that it does work as well. I'm just saying it's hard, but there is stuff out there to see it could work out.
It's frustration. Connor, if there's any super chats or anything, star them for me. I'm on a different page.
Well,
Finn says, guys, is it just me? But I think although we didn't play great, LFC did have enough to win that game 3-1. And we're going to get onto that. Keith's licking his lips. Fires Z Fist Z says, again, front three have no cohesion. Diaz always wants ball to feet. We just discussed that about the cohesion, and obviously it's a work in progress. It's that word again, the T word. LL Lad says we should use 4-2-3-1, use Bobby or Fabinho's as 10s. I think we used every fucking formation there is to use this game. Because Keith, that whatever that formation was didn't work. It's a line. I was right the first time. All of you lot just haven't got a clue.
I can't see the name.
Yeah, as usual. Steve's got his glasses on. He still can't work it out. So Keith, I think he would have changed it anyway, but we don't know. But Carvalho picks up a dead leg. I knew he's not going to come out. We look to the bench and we think, what is he going to do? Is he going to bring in James Milner because we're getting fucking transitioned every time in midfield? No. Jurgen Klopp is still saying, balls out. I can't give a shit. I don't give a shit. You're Everton. I'm Liverpool. He brings on Bobby Firmino. I tweeted like a trigger happy guy, like I got giddy-eyed like you, and I thought, oh, Firmino, old school number 8, Hoffenheim days. We're going to see a bit of Firmino in the number 8 as one of the... No, he went straight up top, got that wrong again. We ended up basically in the second half playing 4-2-4 with Harvey Elliott and Fabinho in midfield.
Well, it's interesting, the 4-2-4, because for those that have obviously been watching the show since its inception, I've discussed this before, this 4-2-4. We've done this before. We did it last season when there was a situation where we had Jota, Mane, Firmino, and Salah as the form must have been a big...
I loved Thundercats. Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, 4-2-4 is a wild formation, man. Honestly, it's a wild... It is Klopp saying, I don't respect you. I don't respect you as a player.
It's like going ultra attack on FIFA at halftime. It's madness.
I'll do 4-2-4 if I'm trying to chase a 1-0 down on Football Manager.
It's Brendan Rodgers, right? When you're trying to outscore a team, that is 4-2-4. That is 4-2-4. But I'm exaggerating, but you know.
It was wild. It was wild. I must admit, it was wild. But somebody touched on the fact that we could have won 3-1. Absolutely. Because for me, I believe we had the best chances of the game. Like, particularly when Firmino came on, right? Because when Firmino came on, we had a wild spell.
He had 2-3 shots himself.
Yeah. Great save by Pickford when he went to the left. Again, I believe that was a knockdown by Darwin Núñez. A couple of the chances came from what I like to call him, my name for him is Professor Chaos, because the man creates chaos when the ball comes towards him. The first time he knocks it down to Firmino almost scores. I thought, like, again, we looked a little bit better when Firmino came on in the first half. In the second half, I felt we had a little bit more control of the football. We started to stretch Everton a little bit more. And to be perfectly honest with you, Firmino was very unlucky not to start the game. I can understand why. Like, we can't forget this guy has had a lot of injury issues over the past 18 months at Liverpool. You know, there was times when we hadn't seen him for months. I don't even think he hardly played most of last season because he was always out with injuries. So, but at the moment, he looks like a man on fire. Like, you know what I mean? He looks like the second coming of Bobby, right? So, you know, he comes on, creates some chance, obviously has a big chance to create. And then for me, then the chance comes with the Costa Tsimikas chance. And he has to do better in that situation. He has to do better. That goal was gaping. That goal was open. That goal was wide. He tries to almost like curl it, like almost like an instep kind of thing.
Shall I tell you what I thought, Keith? I think you're right, but I think it epitomized Liverpool this season. And what I mean by that is not really in control and composed like we normally are. We know what we're doing. We're trying to play this frenzy type of football. And maybe, again, it's because of the personnel we've got. I think some players are not feeling secure in their... I hate to say it, but in their teammates, like we don't know each other's game. Like normally, that's such a you just calm yourself down. You either take a touch and score yourself with a better angle if you take a touch, or you take a touch and you just lay it off to. I think Bobby was waiting for it, or Diaz was waiting for it for a tap in.
Composure is an interesting point, right? Because okay, we'll talk about Ivan Toney. If anybody saw his hat trick this weekend, right? That is the definition of what you call a player who's in full confidence mode, in God mode, right? For any wrestling fans, you'll know what I mean. Ivan Toney had the first goal he scores, right? I think we had a similar chance against Man United, I believe. One where the keeper runs out and we kind of just rush the shot. And Ivan just takes his time. The keeper's run off his line, takes his time, takes the touch, lobs the keeper, right? This type of composure. Costa Simicas, all he needed was composure in that situation. I saw a comment saying that our left backs just don't know how to shoot, and that there's an argument for that as well. But you're right. It's that composure to just wait a second, be confident, take that extra touch, and you've got the whole goal gaping. Put it onto your right foot, and you put it top bins. It's game over. The Everton player has to put his hand out to make the save. So it is a bit of composure. Even in the passing, when Trent Alexander-Arnold, and we talked about his passing at the moment, it's not composed enough. There's so many times where I'll see him try and whip the ball, pay a pass, and it will just go straight back to the opposition. All of a sudden, we get countered.
It's perfect because you've just spoken about the two players that I'm going to ask Steve now. A hard question. Not hard, might not be. Grizz, first of all, the super chat says, Grizz, Klopp put Harvey in a pivot after halftime. That's exactly what I said, I think. I'm pretty sure I spoke about the change that he made into halftime. It coincides with our best spell, Steve. It coincides with probably us being on top. And then Jurgen Klopp, at 60 minutes, decides to take off the two players that Keith's just mentioned. Simicas, who I thought was having a very good game, me personally. I know we've criticised him for that chance, but overall, I thought he played very well. He kept Damari Gray very quiet. Trent, on the other side, defensively wasn't too bad, guys, in my opinion, from what I saw, from what I watched, right? Anthony Gordon is an absolute pest, pain in the ass. Hate him, but he's a very good player. I thought Trent defensively was on point, but anything else was just on a different planet. Like he's playing like he's in a trance at the moment. Steve, explain the thinking behind changing those fullbacks. And not only changing the fullbacks, which is fine if you've got adequate fullbacks like you have Robertson stepping at Simicas, but to every man, woman, cat, dog, we thought, bring on Matip and put Gomez there if Trent's not having the right game. He put James Milner there. Instantly, their eyes light up. And for the next 20 minutes, they get through us time and time again. What? Brainstorm, brain fart? Jurgen Klopp's allowed to make mistakes?
It's 60-30. Yeah, he wanted 5 substitutes for a reason. So he can play one for 60 minutes, one for 30 minutes, and it all comes down to energy level. That's what he's looking for. You're right. I don't know what's wrong with Trent at the moment. He has a languid style of play anyway. It's gone beyond languid, and at times it's nothing short of lazy. Some of his passing is awful. I think it's fair to say he looks disgruntled when they take him off. Someone needs to sit him down and have a chat with him at the AXA this week and get his head back in the room, because that's not the Trent that we know.
Unless this is true. I haven't heard it myself, and I didn't hear Klopp say it. But if that's the case, Vex Blazer, thank you. If that is the case, then it explains a lot.
No, but he done it against Newcastle as well, though. He took him off against Newcastle as well, and his face was tripping him then as well. So like,
but it might mean that he's not fully fit. That's what it suggests.
I just think he's out of form, Grizz. I just think he's desperately out of form.
He's allowed to be playing shit as well, because he is. He's passing. His passing's all over the place. He shouldn't be passing it now. Like, because he's got it in his locker, it's such a lazy move when he's not playing well. Just keep the short passes. But then again, is it his fault that we rely so much on a 23-year-old to go through him as a playmaker? Like,
I don't think he can think like that.
Just to add one thing, sorry.
What was that, Steve? You don't think?
I don't think you can think like that along the lines of, is it ideal to have a 23-year-old being such a playmaker?
No, as our main outlet every game though, it becomes predictable.
Well, every team's got one, and he's ours.
Is he right? So see when Kevin De Bruyne hasn't played, they've got Bernardo Silva, they've got De Gea again. Or what about Trossard, Solly March today, or like McAllister?
Yeah, but we've got Thiago. Yeah, but we've got Thiago. We've got Mohamed Salah.
What I'm saying is, right, it's like at times it does feel that we rely on a player far too much, and other teams don't put so much on one player. Like this season, I feel like at times it's so much on Trent, where I think it's like...
I think most teams have that, Conroy. They have the hierarchy of players that are relevant or important in terms of either chance creation or stopping the defense. And yes, Trent is probably... I mean, I know we say Trent is the chief chance creator in our team.
Trent's in a different level,
I still think Mohamed Salah is. So I don't even think Trent is the best creation. I think Mohamed Salah, and statistically, we saw a stat today that Mohamed Salah has created the most chances out of everyone in the Liverpool team. So I don't even think it's Trent is the chief. I just think we've got this perception, and the media portrays it like that, and we fall into that trap. That's just my opinion.
He's the risk taker, Chris. He's the risk taker. He's the guy in the team.
He's a risk taker, yes.
The media get hung up on it when they come back and say, Trent gave the ball away 43 times today. Well, so did Bruno Fernandes, and so did Martin Odegaard, for instance, because they've got license to try things that other players in the team don't. They've got license to try risky elements to their game, because if it breaks down, it's okay, because that's what they're in the team for. I've said this countless times. Trent's targets at the start of the season are not about defensive play. They're about challenging Kevin De Bruyne for the most assists in the Premier League. That's the role he's got. He's a right back for team purposes only, and obviously by proxy of being in the right back position, he defends as well. But that's not what his targets are. That's not what the start of the season the club sit down with him and say, this is what we want from you. They say, we want you to be creative. We want you to unlock teams with your range of passing. We want you to find Mo Salah in great positions. We want you to the switches onto Robbo, which we've seen hundreds of times. Let's get involved in that. If we can see goals down the right back side, unless Trent's made a howler glaring mistake, the rest of the team should be covering the fact that he's not at home because of the role in his side. They're the guys that get it the next day in training. I'm absolutely convinced of that. But he's so badly out of form at the moment. Our other two creative centre midfielders who give you a little bit more, and that's Thiago and at times Naby Keita, are both unavailable to play at the moment. So we're still forced with trying to play Trent into form, and it's just not happening. So I don't know how we solve that with him, but we're going to have to persevere with him. And one day, soon, hopefully, there'll be a game where everything clicks into place and we'll get that Trent back. But right now, there is very little creative elements in the team, and it has to be him.
Well, that's just to add to that, Steve, just to clarify, by the way, I think Trent is like our best creative player. I'm just saying at times, I think when he's not at it, I think it's unfair to just put all on him, is what I'm saying. I think there should be other outlets in the team to bail him out, because I think it's unfair sometimes to be like, if he's not at it, the team just... And I know you're saying Salah, and I just think sometimes other outlets could help us with our patterns of play.
You're right. So this point you and I speaking around comes around full circle into why we didn't buy a creative midfielder in the summer, doesn't it? Because we're relying on one man, and the two other guys that can give us that are both injury prone. So we go back to that situation where we didn't buy creative influences in the summer when we all wanted one.
Yeah, Keith, if we go back to the game and Milner comes in for the much spoken about Trent, like we had a nice little segment on Trent Alexander there. Milner has I don't know which one. How do you guys want to describe it? 20 minutes of hell.
Well, we say that.
Yeah, oh shit! You haven't got a hot take, have you?
About 36-year-old James.
Oh no!
Yeah, say it right. Say the whole thing. Yeah, it's not just James Milner. 36-year-old James Milner.
36-year-old James Milner.
And yet, who played two of probably the best crosses in the game that created our biggest chances in the second half? Because people forget about that. The ball that comes in when cross comes in from a short corner from Robertson, passes it to Milner. Milner puts it to the back post of Nunez. Nunez drops it down. It drops to Fabinho, I think it is, who hits it straight at the goalkeeper. The other chance, I believe, the Firmino chance, comes again from a James Milner cross that picks out the player, just like he picked the player out against Newcastle as well, when he picked out Gomez to the corner. But I agree. The defensive-wise,
Thank God. I thought you were actually making a case here for
I always feel like we always poke James Milner. Like,
it's not his fault. No, we're not saying it's his fault.
But what I'm trying to say is that, like, he, as much as defensively in the transitions, yes, it was fucking horrendous at times, and he shouldn't be in that position in the first place. I still think that, like, his input, people love to like focus so much on that part of his game, where, quite frankly, we're putting him into an auxiliary right back position in the first place. We shouldn't be doing that anyway. But actually, when we look at the impact he had on the game initially when he first came on, he creates two of the biggest shots. We should have been 2-0 up by the time they counterattacked us to score those goals. So James Milner is still providing influence in these games. It's just in transition, this is where it becomes a big problem. James Milner's still got the quality on the ball. He's still very good at kind of creating situations and moments. Maybe not to the most, it's not always the easiest on the eye, but in his last in the last couple of games, he's been influential. Against Fulham, he was influential in turning that game around for us. So I just had to give, like, 36-year-old James Milner, who took a reduced contract to stay at our football club and is playing more football than he's ever played before. Don't forget that. Did come in and had some good moments, but what I will say is, what the hell Jurgen Klopp was thinking of putting him at right back. Well, I don't know. He had Joe Matip on the bench.
I know.
He had Joe Gomez. Put Joe Gomez at right back. Joe Gomez has got the pace. Put Mirren in midfield. Don't expose him like that against Iwobi, Gordon, that Milienko. They were just putting the ball on the right-hand side for fun.
Every single time.
It caused that change. You felt the shift. You actually felt the shift, because I think before that sub, I think, even to be fair, Shimikas was getting involved quite well. But even if you want to do the Robbo one, I just think, why not bring Gomez on? Because do you guys, Grizz, did you feel like it gave Everton momentum?
Absolutely did, Conroy.
I felt like it
did. They eyes lit up, as I said. They saw a 36-year-old James Milner. Let's not forget, all right, his age, in case anyone forgets. A 36-year-old James Milner up against a Gordon and a Iwobi and Damari Gray, maybe, I think, came on that side, and Mopai was suddenly, it was horrible to see. Very quickly, I think, to his slight credit, Jurgen Klopp decides to change that, Conroy. He corrects the incorrect substitution and brings on Jota for Nunes, who naturally tired near the end. In fact, I would have liked to see Jota stay. Yeah. With playing Nunes, that would have been interesting. You talk about chaos. That would have been chaos for the opposite if we saw Jota and Nunes. And I'm excited to see that going forward now. It's one of the things that I'm looking forward to seeing, but we'll discuss that in a few minutes when we talk about Napoli and whatnot. Calms us down in terms of transition after transition. And then we have a nice little 10-15 minutes at the end where we should have nicked it. We have chances. Mohamed Salah makes Pickford pull off a tremendous save. Do you know what, guys? That save reminded me of the Champions League save from Mane onto the post, but obviously on the other side. I thought, how the fuck has that not gone in? And we would be sitting here totally different. Despite all of that, we still need a horrendous miss from Mopai or a brilliant save from Alisson to keep us in it. I don't think we deserved a win. It ends 0-0, but Conroy, it's one of those, like Jurgen Klopp says, if you can't win a derby, don't fucking lose it.
Yeah. For me, Mopai's got to score. Best chance of the game. That should be a 1-0 win. I think the Pickford one, great save, but keepers can make great saves. I think that one should certain go 8 yards out. I think it is. Got to finish that. And Everton, you couldn't argue with that, to be honest. And by the way, I think 2 attacks came direct from corners again, because we couldn't break it up from our corners, which that used to be a big problem a couple of years ago. If that's creeping back in, hopefully that gets nullified, because that was a big issue. But with regard to it, yeah, you can say that, Grizz, but let's just be honest, guys. This is the Premier League level now, and this is not the level. You can't get away with it. You can't do that. Like, you want to win the league. Everton are probably in the worst form. Not worst form, but they've not won a game yet. And yes, it's a Merseyside derby, but right now, come on, like, even with City dropping points, whatever, like, the standard of other teams, we're just not at it. And by the way, we never beat one top 4 team last year. Not won one game against the other.
Well, we're going to have to now. Well, we're going to have to now.
And that was our biggest problem. People keep saying, oh, we dropped this many points, but we've not even played a top 4 team yet. So we're going to have to do something we didn't even do last year, which, I think people are not even thinking about that as well. But It's just not good enough, though. It's not good enough. Yes, it's Derby, whatever you want to say that. I think if we'd won, we did create more chances. It wasn't as bad as Newcastle. I think there was actual chances, more chances, but it's not good enough at the end of the day if you want to go for a title. And I think a lot of fans, I'm not going to throw the baby out the bathwater right now, but let's be honest, it's not looking too likely now. And we're going to have to rectify it in some of those games because we've dropped a lot of points against people who could potentially be relegated. So, yeah, we've got to really beat some of the top teams. And last year was a struggle, so hopefully we can get in a good run of form by then. And I know we're going to talk about the Champions League, but maybe that'll be a good not distraction, but a different avenue to give us a bit of a break for the constant Premier League fixtures.
Yeah, look, we'll probably get into that now. Look, Steve, everyone says, not everyone, it depends who you speak to, I guess, but a lot of people will say so much to play for yet. It's very early doors. I've seen sort of stats where Man City had sort of less points than us and then gone on to win the league. People speaking about our 14 points behind and still, making a fist of it. Lots to play for, but we've got to start playing, haven't we, to catch up. We're just not playing at the moment. It's just a matter of regrouping, trying to get as many players that we know the system, the back of their hands, back on that football pitch.
Yeah, there's a bit of a spark missing at the moment from the team, and that we talk mentality monsters is not something I sort of tend to say too often, but we don't look like we've got a late Mane type winner away at Aston Villa innings at the moment. Everything looks difficult right now. I don't think many of the players are enjoying it too much at the moment, and I think that's reflected in A, their work ethic, and B, the fact that when we've got the ball, and of watching Jordan Henderson brings the ball under control and then moves it with 3 more touches, and by the time he looks up, all the options have gone. We're our best when we're moving the ball quickly, and at the moment we're just not moving the ball quick enough. And there's no spark, and hopefully we get that back with 1 or 2 players coming back. Thiago, I know we're putting all our eggs in one basket saying we need Thiago back, but the reality is we do, because he's the only guy in the midfield, aside from Harvey Elliott to some degree, that can see a ball. They can see a ball that no one else can. They can disguise a ball into somebody, which opens up so much space for somebody else. At this minute in time, there's just no spark. There's no magic around it at the moment. And I think as these games go on and on and on, we won a game in the 98th minute. If we hadn't won that game, we'd have been pretty depressed about that result as well. But, someone said it earlier, papering over the cracks. Right now, I would take papering over the cracks until we get ourselves into a position where we've got some form. But there's a massive spark missing. There's something not quite right. And maybe it's the situation with the Naby Keita situation. Maybe there's a bit of unrest somewhere in the squad because something's gone on there. I saw you tweeted earlier today, someone said it's either a really bad injury and you tweeted, or with a couple of full stops, which makes people think about what that is.
That's unheard of, really, in our squad as well, Steve. That's not a common thing, that tension behind the doors in the squad in the changing room. So,
but it's common in professional football. And
absolutely.
Just doesn't. We've had such a sort of steady ship where people have not fell out with each other, and there's not been issues with players and the way they go about what they do. And that's why we call for things to be freshened up, because players go stale, and I think at the moment we need a catalyst to spark us again, to go, hang on a minute, we're actually quite good at doing this. Let's get back to what we were doing really well, and it will happen. I mean, we'll probably need to win 15 games in a row to get ourselves back into contention. And right now, that is a big ask, and you actually have to ask the question: have we got that capability at the moment?
Just a few super chats I want to quickly get through. Ibrahim 8931 says the VVD and Salah criticism all came after midfield failed. Bad pressing, bad transitions, yet Mo created the most chances. We're going to get onto this Errol lad. Very next topic subject. What's the panel's lineup for Napoli? Dul Inco says Milner staying is on Klopp. I knew him extending would prevent us from signing a proper midfielder. Embarrassing succession planning yet again. Move him on. Jay Finn says, go on, Keith, you're on mute.
Sorry, just to come on to that. James Milner, and I will defend him for the rest of the season. He did not sign that contract with the idea that he's going to be the one of the main picks in midfield. James Milner signed that contract because he was going to fit in where needed for Liverpool Football Club, whether that be left back, whether that be right back, whether that be centre midfield. Heck, he could probably even do a job at centre back if you told him to do it, right? The issues of not signing a midfield does not stem around us keeping James Milner. The issue with us not signing a midfielder is that we try to be, in my personal opinion, we try to be very, very specific with the structure and personnel in place that have been around for so long that ultimately it becomes a thing where, well, we've been right before and we'll be right again. And if it was a new manager that had come in, a Ten Hag, for example, just came into Liverpool, we probably would have signed the midfielders you wanted. But we've got such a way of doing things now, and maybe this is something that you could disagree with Jurgen Klopp if you spoke to him over a pint, and you could turn around to the man himself and say, you need to be a bit more adventurous, right? You need to take more risks. He didn't want to take more risks, right? He wanted to sign specific players.
But this is it. But this is it, though, Keith. I think you're spot on in terms of it's not James Milner, but Jurgen Klopp did hint at he'd like the owners to maybe be a bit more adventurous, less risk averse sometimes. So maybe maybe we will see this going forward in future transfer windows. I don't know.
No, absolutely.
Just on that point,
I just wanted to say that's what I wanted to say. It's not because of James Milner we didn't sign a midfielder.
Yeah.
But this risk averseness and taking a few more risks. The second Jurgen Klopp said to the media, I'm wrong and you're right, we need a midfielder, £30 million centre midfielders became £70 million centre midfielders to us because he told the footballing world that we were in the market for a midfielder. So that is why he doesn't ever say anything. That's so un-Klopp-like to come out and have that comment.
But he shouldn't need to say that, Steve. That's my point.
Shouldn't. You're right. He shouldn't. You're absolutely right. But he did. He
shouldn't have needed to say that.
He got baffled by the same question every single week.
Yeah, absolutely. But he was asked that question because it was relevant. It made sense. It was kind of a state of emergency. Imagine we didn't bring in Arthur. I'm going to call him Arthur. I know everyone's calling him Arthur. Shut up. I'm calling him Arthur.
Arthur Daily.
Yeah, exactly. Jay says, I told Conor and Mopai is not a good striker. I don't think you know that was an amazing call. I appreciate the support. Like my daughter could have told him that. The moment that chance fell to him, I said he's not scoring. Look at Brighton without him. And obviously, Karen Verse says, congratulations for 70k subs, Grizz brother. Keep it up. Thank you very much for that. It's with your love and support that we've got here. Keith said something about at the start of the show, deflected from the Premier League completely, got our minds off the state of Premier League. Even though, guys, after the weekend's results, after everything that we've gone through, we're 6 points behind the so-called leaders right now. Well, not so-called, the other leaders. But the way I look at it, we're 5 points behind the team to beat Man City. 5 points behind. We've been probably 50, 60%. We know we can play 20, 30% better. We know we will. We know we have a whole heap of players coming back. Keith, is this Champions League game or introduction of the Champions League now into the midweeks a distraction? Is it beneficial? Because we have Matt, help me out here, guys. We've got Matip back. We've got Jota back. We've got both fullbacks, Tsimikas and Robertson, available now. We've got Curtis Jones back, I believe. I know he wasn't, but I believe he'll be back. We've got Nunes back, obviously. And we've got our new signing ready and available as well. I think a few of our players need rotation and resting. So in that, just for that, it makes sense now to actually rotate and rest, because we've got Napoli away, which is going to be the most difficult game of the group. So straight away, they are the most informed team in Europe right now, and we are probably one of the worst out-formed teams. What do you do? Well, what you do right now is unmute yourself.
Mute myself again. I'm so excited tonight.
That's what you do first.
So I wanted to get points to your right at the start. You were talking about in terms of the distraction, right? The Champions League is back. Is it going to be a welcome distraction to us? European football is going to separate the men from the boys this season in the Premier League, right? For all of them. Yeah. Because one thing that we've suffered with has been injuries, has been players out, has been suspensions, having to change the team every 5 minutes. Yeah, that spectre is to come for all the teams above us. Tottenham are in the Champions League this season, right? Manchester United are in Europa League. Arsenal are in Europa League. City, of course, in the Champions League as well. There's a lot of football to be played, a lot of rotation that needs to come, and a lot of disruption. And
reliance on squads.
Reliance on squads. Then we'll see who the men from the boys are. And if you're Brighton right now and you can keep your players fit for the rest of the season, you're laughing because you're only playing 1 game a week. But that's another story. In terms of what we get, 100% Joel Matip. Really excited to see Joel Matip come back into the football team. For me, one of the best playmakers in the entire team. Midfielders, strikers. Joel Matip for me has one of the best passing ranges, the best, like, the timing, dribbling. Like, he's the kind of guy who I've watched him literally try and drag us out of a situation before. So I'm really excited to see Joel Matip. So
basically for you, straight back in.
Straight back in. Rotating for Gomez, protect Gomez. Gomez played a lot of football. He has to come in straight away. Steve talks about the spark. You know, like,
Thiago back as well, by the way. I forgot to mention Thiago.
Thiago's back as well. But for me, Darwin Núñez.
Okay.
Darwin Núñez and European football over the past 2 seasons. Yeah, we forget about the COVID lockdown Europa League run that he had as well, right? The run that he had in the Champions League just gone right now. That man and these players, I believe, this is just pure speculation, but I think there are a lot of football players in the world that would rather win the Champions League. The Champions League brings out the best, and I've got a strong feeling that we're going to see something different and something a little bit more exciting going into this Napoli game. And it's a game we can lose as well. Remember, Champions League, you don't have to win your first game. There's not that type of pressure. Obviously you don't want to lose, but at the same time, like, plenty of times we've lost 1, maybe even 2 Champions League games and we've still gone on to the final. It's Jurgen Klopp's, it's one of his favorite competitions at Liverpool. I don't think we've got we've got to like 3 finals. Like, it's just the perfect distraction for us, but it's also the perfect time to test whether the boys above us are really as bad as they think they are when they have to start playing football every 3 days.
Surely, heavy rotation, Steve. I don't know. Let's try to pick a team between you and Conroy.
Yeah. I think the keeper stays the same. Would you agree, Conroy?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Alisson, I know we spoke about him a lot after the game, but he was outstanding again. Like, what a goalkeeper.
Best game of the season by far.
I agree. I don't think you leave Trent out. I think players don't recover form sitting in the stands watching. So I'll put Trent back in.
I think Gomez might start, lads. Now that Matip's back, I think Gomez goes to right back.
But the fact with their wing up there, Trent came off, Grizz. Do you think maybe that was in the Klopp's thinking? Maybe.
Yeah, true.
But yeah.
I think I agree with Keith. I'd bring Matip back in. 100%.
Virgil. We'll keep Virgil in, or I'm joking. Of course, we'll keep Virgil in. VVD
and I'd bring Andy Robbo back as well for that game.
I think maybe that'll be the case, just going off the basis that Klopp, you said the 60-30 thing, Steve. So maybe he probably starts Robbo and brings Shimikas on 60-65. The central midfield, what's your thoughts for the centre mid, Steve? Who are you thinking?
Fabinho will play, even though he shouldn't, because he needs. We're going to find ourselves in a situation with him where he's going to play too much football again this season. I believe. We would like. We've all talked about rotating him and Henderson through the 6. Well, Henderson's out for 5 weeks, which is about 65 games, given what's coming up for us. So, we've got to lose him for a lot of games.
I think it's 75.
Yeah. Sorry, man, I stand corrected. So I think he's got to play, and I'd play Curtis Jones on the left side, mate, against Napoli as well, and I'd leave Harvey on the right hand side because Harvey's at 18, 19 years old. He can play football every day of the week till the cows come home. He's not in the same position as the Michael Owen, where we're likely to burn his hamstrings out because he's using sort of acceleration to go around the back of people. He's just a ball player, and the chances of injuring him are slightly minimal. I agree with Keith. I don't know if you do. I'd go with Núñez up front because he's right. Núñez has got this mystique in European games. He's an absolute he terrored us at Anfield. Absolutely terrored us. He was he probably earned his move off the back of that one game. It was kind of a Taki Minamino moment where he was that good against us. We kind of couldn't not look at him. What would you do? Why Conroy would you leave?
I think probably is. I think Diaz, he wasn't great the weekend. You know, he had his moments the weekend. He's reasonably decent. We spoke about he's a bit frustration with his play now, but I think Diaz has done enough to keep his space because he's kind of picked us up in games where we've not been great. So I'd say Diaz, Salah's going to play, and Nunez. I would maybe put in the Jota, but I think Jota will come on because he's obviously not got his match fitness yet. I think that's going to be exciting as well. There's maybe a debate that Bobby starts, but I tend to agree that I think performance-wise, Bobby deserves to start, but I think Nunez in Europe, away to Napoli, probably goes with that. But I wouldn't be surprised if Firmino starts in the false nine. The only difference I would maybe say, Steve, to your lineup, apart from what we said there, is instead of Jones, does anyone think Arthur might start? Because I've got a feeling he might. He's played in Italy before with Juventus. I think he might start this game instead of Jones. That's the only one I'd potentially look at.
Well, this, you know, again, if there's going to be a game you want to start him in, to be perfectly honest with you, it's a game that, okay, you have to win, but you can lose. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
I guess it, yeah.
One of the few games you're going to get where you're going to get the opportunity to be able to play Arthur and see what he's really about in a high pressure game. And then if he crumbles and you don't, then you know it's going to take him a bit longer to gel. And
he's played in that league. He's played in that ground before, I think, as well for Juventus. So,
guys, I want to ask a question because I've got this image of the lineup in my head as well, and I just want to throw it out there before we get onto the most exciting part of the night. And doesn't coincide with Omar's lovely face being on the screen. So I don't know why you're smiling for. But yeah, what do you do with Fabinho?
You leave him in. You don't have a choice. You don't have the bodies. Unless you play Arthur as a 6, you can do it.
I've got a midfield that I want to throw out there, right? And my guesses are quite often right. So I'm intrigued to see this, right? If this happens,
right?
Milner, Arthur, and Jones in midfield on Wednesday night.
So who's playing the 6? Who's playing the 6?
Double pivot of Arthur and Milner. And Harvey Elliott needs a rest. He's played every single game for a teenager. It's ridiculous. Fabio Carvalho's injured. Fabinho is treading water still, people. I know people think I've got a thing, right? I'm telling you, there is a chance Milner, Arthur, and Jones is our midfield on Wednesday. It's just a dream I had, like not in my dream midfield before people start laughing. Look, people are laughing now because obviously a lot of people are quite dim, like they think that's my dream midfield. That's it. Yeah, it's not my dream midfield. What I mean by that is I can envisage that. I've got a vision of. He needs to rest Elliott at some point. Do we agree with that?
I could see Fabinho, Milner, and Arthur playing, but I think Fabinho will play.
If Jones is fit, he'll play.
I don't know.
Can I just touch on this point about Keita and Ox being omitted from the squads? Can I just say something on that? Is that okay? Mm-hmm. All of our group games will be played by the 1st of November. There's absolutely no sense in having long-term injuries in the squad. There's so many people out there reading into this situation that Klopp's decided those 2 players will be fired off, sold in January, got rid of, contracts terminated. You read some of the nonsense that's going around social media at the moment. They're not going to be match fit for the group stages. So why have them in the squad?
Yeah, absolutely. So look, let's see what happens Wednesday. It's a bit different. It's Champions League, different competition. I'm on the side of Keith in terms of let's get up for it. Change of mood, different competition might brighten us up, start us going again, because this is our competition, right? In terms of, at least from a British point of view, I know Real Madrid are the owners of it, but in terms of British teams in Europe, we are, forget all this nonsense. This is where we belong. 3 finals out of 4. Is it 3 finals out of 4 the last season? Something like that. 3 out of 5. I beg your pardon. 3 out of 5. But yeah, look, let's just see what happens, man. We've got to get back into form sooner rather than later. Wow, what a show, and what a way to end it now, because we have Omar on the screen, and the reason why we have Omar on the screen is because he does amazing work behind the scenes, and today is no different. He's created a, what do you call it?
Who put the wheel? Was it Steve put the wheel? I call it the Wheel of Fortune.
No, it's Evan who done it in the
Evan.
draft, didn't he? Yeah. So Evan done it in the draft. So obviously, people, as I'd like to remind all of you, now RedFellas every Sunday till this end of the season is sponsored by www.yourfutcard.com. You go on their website, and it's the most self-explanatory website. I've told you guys, I'll bring it up again. Here we go one more time to show you guys this is amazing work from them. How'd you do this? 1 second. I've got it. All you got to do is just go on that website, all right? I'm not joking, and have a look at what you want. They have got amazing products. These are prints that we're about to give out to 4 lucky people that have. All they had to do was retweet and follow futcard.com on Twitter, and they're about to get free prints like these. You can get a Darwin Núñez made one, Thierry Henry classic. I think that's the Aguero moment. You can choose any moment that you want in history, in the past. You can have your own custom-made cards. Just while we've got Omar, what would your stats be if you was going to make your own one with your amazing, lovely face on it? So pace-wise.
Pace.
Tonight, lad.
An 81. Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, go on, now we can. 81 on shooting.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, no, 81 pace.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm quite clutch in front of goal. So I'm looking at myself as a 94 in front of goal. 5-star weak foot. Passing, about 76. Dribbling.
Dribbling.
Dribbling, probably like an 84. Strength, like 99. And what's the last one? Defending, probably like 12. So
12. Right.
Nice. I love that, mate. That's fine.
He is definitely not defending in 5. He's just punching in 5. He's standing up front.
Can you send me a picture? I'll get one for you. I'll get one made for you as well. You put your lovely mug in there. You get your stats in there, and then you can choose the quality of the card. It's brilliant. Foot,
I'm telling you,
you can get these as background. These backgrounds, and guys, if my explanation isn't, of course, the custom flags are brilliant. Custom flags and banners for any club. You can have anything written on it you want. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And if my explanation hasn't been good enough for you, all you got to do is ask them anything you want, and it's so simple and easy to use. These are just some of the examples of the cards and their sizes, and of course the flags. We actually put a post out and asked. All we asked to do was enter. How to enter was just to like and follow. People, we have got all those entries into a Wheel of Fortune. Is that what it's called? Wheel of Names. And we are about to reveal the 4 winners. They could be online. They could be viewing in. They could be anyone. Let's have a roll and have the first winner. And then obviously, if you could make a note of it for me, I'll tweet it out. Make sure. Let's go. Let's have the first winner.
Let's go. Wow.
First print. I hope it could be me because I retweeted it as well, technically.
It is LFC NYY in net.
So that's the first winner of amazing print. Let me make a note of that. If LFC NYY NEP is in the chat, that's even more amazing. Let us know. Come forward. We're going to get your details, and we're going to get you your print sent out to you. But obviously, I'll tweet it and make sure who that is. All right, second winner. What's the chances of him winning again, or him or her winning again? Surely not.
No, I've taken their name out. Oh no! Oh.
Was you nearly there? I was nearly there.
Chris,
had to.
Well done.
Had to. Well done.
Oh my god, excited there. He was in there.
Grizz, you're 2 away. To be fair, right.
All right.
Next one. Let's hit that button. Wow, chat, you're looking amazing tonight. Yes. No.
Come on. Keep going.
Oh, you're done.
Okay, we have to do this. We have to do this again. No, we have to do this one again because, ladies and gentlemen, Jamie is the owner of the website. So therefore, we have to do this spin again. Unfortunately, Jamie, you don't win one of your own products. So shout out Jamie in the chat. Let's go.
All right. It's landed near our names, Grizz, so this is completely right. Oh no. Yes. Liverpool 11. This was a late entry.
Was this a late entry? Well, there you go.
I think the last entry, so it shows the value in entering whenever.
Exactly.
Right.
Is this the last one?
Yeah. So we've got Blue Chip in there. We've got Conroy in there.
We've got all of us in there.
We've got Keith in there. Keith's in there.
Right.
It's not going to be. It's going to be LFC.
LFC
LFC Booth wins it. No, but this is it. There's no insider training. People are saying insider training. Well, there isn't because none of us win it.
That's just because Abby's involved. That's that's because Abby's involved.
Exactly. So we now have our 4 winners, people.
Amazing.
I will obviously. It looks like none of them are in the chat. Otherwise, they would have started shouting and made sure that they're in the aware that they've made us aware that they've won it. People, don't forget, when you get on that website, all you got to do is choose any product you want. And there's a vast array of products from, as I said, FUT cards, banners, and what they're called? The printouts, and they all come with, it's so simple to use. They come with stickies. All you got to do is just attach them and you're going to see my wall flooded with brilliant prints coming in the coming weeks. But yeah, go check out the website, type in RedFellas for your discount code and you get 15% off as well. Sorry, Keith, you was going to say.
But that's a great idea. Get a little background. Can't wait to have mine.
100%, mate. 100%. Get on that website.
A RedFellas little one would be quite cool. Something like that, yeah.
100%. Get on the website. You get 15% off, guys. Do you know what I mean? And it helps the channel and it helps the guys that are helping us throughout the rest of the season. Guys, this has been a tremendous show. Thank you very much for all your participation. Of course, thank you very much for that special appearance at the end there. I know you really hope that you won one of those things, but I'll still get you one in the post, son. Don't worry about that. The amount of work that you put in behind the scenes. People, thank you very much. If you haven't liked the stream, please do so. We will be back. We've got so much content in the week. Monday is the only night we're going to have off. After that, it's all systems go. Tuesday, I've got a Premier League show lined up for you guys. Wednesdays is going to be post-match reaction, obviously. And then we've got the rate and debate. Thursday will be, my God, Thursday will be Young Bucks. FPL show, so much lined up. Keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing. Tell your friends, tell your family. We're in it for the long haul. Take care. We're out of here. Bye-bye.